Ndị be anyị ndewonu. Ọ bụ Ada Igbo na-ekwu na Igbo Media. N'Igbo Media, anyị na-ewetara unu ọtụtụ ozi gbasara ihe na-emegasị na Biafra Land, n'ala Igbo na mba ndị ọzọ. N'ụbọchị nke taata, o nwere ihe bịara n'iru akwụkwọ anyị nke anyị ga-agụpụtara unu n'ụbọchị taa. Anyị gụpụtachaa ya, unu egee ya ka ọha n'uju. Ị ga-esie ya, ị drọpụọla your comment, like kwa this our video and gbasakwa ya ka o ruo ụmụnna anyị n'ebe dị iche iche arụ. Ozi anyị wetara ntata si n'aka otu nwanne anyị nwoke, a Biafra activist. Dịka o si wetara anyị ozi ya n'iru akwụkwọ, ọ dere sị: Nnamdi Kanu sentenced to life imprisonment. US hearing on alleged genocide in Nigeria. Tinubu spat on faces of our useless Igbo rich men, Igbo politicians, and the whole Biafra nation. Tinubu sentenced Ndi Igbo to life imprisonment, and Tinubu is negotiating with Fulani and Boko Haram terrorists. But Nnamdi Kanu and Ndi Igbo will receive a life imprisonment. This is a deep pain. O nwere ihe ọzọ mma m ekwu n'iru akwụkwọ tata, mana ị ga-eche ozi anyị ji wee maka ya wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ, ịgwa ya iche ma mekwa ka ozi alụta ụmụnna anyị n'ebe dị iche iche aka. Ngwa gere ya ka ọha n'uju.
Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment over terrorism charges. U.S. Congress adjourns public hearing on Nigeria over allegation of Christian genocide and violations of religious freedom. President Trump threatens Democratic lawmakers over call on military to reject any illegal orders they may receive.
And in business, CBN alerts Nigerians as fake microfinance bank opens branches in 4 states across the country.
And in sports, Democratic Republic of Congo to face winner between New Caledonia and Jamaica for a place in FIFA 2026 World Cup.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight with a landmark ruling by the Federal High Court in Abuja, which convicted the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on all 7 counts, bordering on terrorism, treasonable felony, and public incitement. While delivering judgment, Justice James Omotosho sentenced Kanu to life imprisonment and ordered that he be remanded in any custodial facility with adequate security nationwide. News Center's correspondent Joshua Imaraye now reports.
As early as 7 a.m., the entire premises of the Federal High Court in Abuja was cordoned off by officers of the Department of State Services and other security operatives. Security was tight, movement restricted, and anticipation high as the court prepared to deliver judgment in the long-running suit. When proceedings commenced, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was given the opportunity to adopt some of his processes before the court.
My lord, I am the defendant.
The situation soon escalated as Kanu, visibly agitated, caused a scene inside the courtroom. This forced the judge to order security operatives to take him out, prompting a short adjournment. After the court reconvened, the prosecution counsel and senior advocate of Nigeria, Adegboyega Awolowo, after citing relevant section of the law, prayed the court to proceed with the judgment in Kanu's absence. In a brief ruling, Justice Omotosho held that Kanu had abused all rights and privileges granted to him by the court and decided to continue the judgment without him present. Delivering judgment, Justice Omotosho found Kanu guilty on all counts as charged by the Department of State Services. He then sentenced him to life imprisonment on counts 1, 4, 5, and 6, 20 years imprisonment for count 3, and 5 years imprisonment with no option of fine for the remaining count. Counsel to the federal government, speaking for the first time since the trial began, reacted to the judgment.
Today, we have come to a final end. Justice has been done. And therefore, Nigerians must, one way or the other, appreciate the judiciary.
Also, consultants to Nnamdi Kanu who expressed dissatisfaction with the judgment gave their own reactions.
The judgment
The judgment is not based on law. It's not based on facts. It's based on politics. It's based on some tribal, primordial sentiments just because Nnamdi Kanu is Igbo.
It's because of Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo. You cannot give this kind of judgment to a northerner. You cannot give it to a southwesterner. You cannot give it to another tribe in Nigeria apart from the Igbos. And we are going to start against it because it has happened in this country against some other persons, including Abiola. The Igbos join hands together to fight against it. Why should it be our own time and everybody's sitting akimbo? It's unfair. Thank you.
They confirmed that the convicted leader of the indigenous people of Biafra will head to the Court of Appeal in the coming days. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Joshua, who was at the Federal High Court during the proceedings and the eventual sentencing, who brought us that report, joins us live now alongside lawyers Liboros Oshoma and Jide Ologu, who is with me in the studio. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I will just start with you, Joshua, for further details. You were at the sentencing and you watched everything that transpired. Would you say he was given a fair hearing?
Remember that this particular case was instructed in the courtroom of Joseph.
Okay, Joshua, I'm sorry I have to interrupt you. We can barely hear you. The audio from your end is pretty bad. We'll just let it slide for now and see if we can come back to you before the conversation is over. But let's bring in Liboros Oshoma, who is also joining us virtually. Thank you again for being here. I mean, we watched the prosecuting counsel say on the one hand that this is the final end. And we know from media reports now that the consultant to Nnamdi Kanu is saying that they are going to appeal the case as well as bring up other issues. First off, was this an expected verdict based on the proceedings that have gone? And second, what would be your response to tribal connotation that we saw in that report?
It's quite unfortunate that when issues like this happen, rather than look at the law and look at the behavior and the demeanor of the people involved, we begin to read tribal connotation to it. And it's very unfortunate. But these are not as unexpected because I can tell you that it is happening because really you are in a country where some persons will preach repentance and rehabilitation for terrorists and Boko Haram militants and bandits. And when also Nnamdi Kanu has been facing trial for years now. So, but be that as it may, I also knew that to answer your question about whether this was expected, I expected this the moment Nnamdi Kanu elected to defend himself, and the way he has carried on and exhibited, himself in court. I knew that certainly he was like a man who has doused himself with fuel and is holding a matchstick and saying nothing will happen. If you look at, I've had, because I had the privilege of listening to the judgment, and also I have a copy of the judgment. I've also, looked at it thoroughly. Nnamdi Kanu actually played himself, into the hands of the prosecutor. Even as a lawyer, when you're facing such a criminal trial, it is always advisable that you employ the services of a colleague to defend your matter. He kept shouting on them that there is no law, that is not charged under any law, because the terrorism prevention law of 2013 has been repealed. But he forgot that Section 97 of the 2023 law saved any act that had been taken prior to the repeal. And Section 4 of the Interpretation Act also provides that any law that is repealed, there's what we call it the saving sections of the law. So the fact that the law is repealed does not extinguish every action that had been taken prior to the repeal law, or any case that is ongoing filed pursuant to that law. So in all of this, and then you keep going back and forth. You had filed a no case submission, and the court ruled that you have a case to answer. You didn't even bother. Initially, you said you were going to call star witnesses, you were going to call governors, ministers, and thereafter you abandoned that line, and you decided
I'm sorry
not
to
enter
interject.
defense in your favor. That's for me was really a no-no.
All right, I understand we have Imari, Joshua Imari again. Joshua, if you can hear me, just go ahead and recap your thoughts, please.
Well, from the start of the case, I can confirm to you that Nnamdi Kanu has nothing been guaranteed but a fair hearing. Nnamdi Kanu was given a fair hearing. Of course, you know that this case was instituted in Justice Binta Nyako's court. And Nnamdi Kanu, out of sheer loss of confidence in the court of Justice Binta Nyako, told Justice Binta Nyako to recuse herself. And Justice Binta Nyako recused herself, and the case was transferred to Justice James Omotosho. Several times Nnamdi Kanu came to court. Several times he was some sort of unruly to the court. He threw tantrums, was very aggressive with security operatives, even to his own lawyers. We would see viral videos of him shouting at his own lawyers. And several times he has said that he should be granted fair hearing, and he was granted fair hearing. Now, from what we saw in the case, there was a day where Nnamdi Kanu alleged that operatives of the DSS are dropping into his conversation with his lawyers, and he told the court that the court should set aside a day for him to confer with his lawyers during the trial session. And the court vacated one full day, did not hold any business.
Yes, I mean, most of us followed that judgment live as it was being read, and we heard the judge give his explanation as to why certain actions were taken. But, I mean, the optics say he was given a fair hearing. What was the mood like after that verdict? I saw you spoke to some of his supporters outside the court premises.
Well, of course, as expected, they were angry. They were not happy with the court ruling. They were not happy with the judgment of Justice James Omotosho. They even alleged political and tribal undertone to the entire situation and the entire proceedings. They were discontented, disgruntled with the proceedings. And right from the very onset, when they come out from the court, they tell us a different thing. And during the court proceedings, we see a different thing. That is what we saw. Of course, we knew right from the onset that they were not going to be happy with any ruling that emanated from the court. It showed that from their body language, from their demeanor, from the way they conducted themselves, it showed that they were not going to be happy with whatever comes out from the judgment. And it was so. That was what we witnessed in court today.
Joshua, just hang on a moment. Let me come to Jude, who has patiently been waiting for his turn to speak in the studio. I mean, is it a fair hearing in your thinking, based on the explanation we've had from the judge while he was ruling and the explanation given by my colleague? This isn't the end, it seems, with the request that, I mean, the claims that they're going to go further to appeal this matter. How long do you think this case will continue for now?
Because after this verdict, the Court of Appeal is still there, and depending on how it runs in the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court is there where you can go, and that's the final point in the matter, you know, since 1963 when we became a republic. So, but having said all that, definitely he will be kept in custody, and the Honorable Justice has requested that it has to be a custodial facility that is secure, you know, and on the question of whether he's been given fair hearing, yeah, for those who monitored the prosecution diligently, you can come to a conclusion that he was offered that fair hearing opportunities, because what Section 36 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says is that somebody who is brought on a criminal allegation is presumed innocent until the allegations are proved beyond all reasonable doubt. And the prosecution presented 5 witnesses and came to a conclusion that he had a case to answer. But he filed a no case to answer submission, which the court rejected. And he had the opportunity to defend himself through legal experts. And by his own volition, he dismantled his legal team and turned them away and addressed the court that he was going to defend himself, got his case filed, and came to court to tell the court that there wasn't any extant law on which he should be prosecuted. So he was given the opportunity of fair hearing. And the Honorable Justice Omotosho even warned him, begged him in the name of God, that please get legal experts. In fact, we offer you legal aid, which he rejected. And on a final note, again, when you are brought to court, your demeanor is very, very crucial. And you
I mean, the court did speak strongly as to his behavior,
that he was unruly, and those dramas, you know, practically through the case.
Like it or not, he said something that a lot of Nigerians are now picking on. His drama at the opening when he requested for final statements, and the court saying, hold on. Will this impact the subsequent conversation or hearings on this matter in another court? Liberos, please. Liberos, please. The question is for you. Okay, I don't think Liberos can hear us. Liberos, if you can hear me, the question is for you. The drama around his final statement. Okay, I'll put that question to you, Jide.
Yes, his demeanor, what will happen is that subsequently, if he is to be brought before the court, there will be extra steps taken to ensure that he doesn't end up attacking anyone. You heard him telling someone in the court that God will punish you. So those dramas are really not necessary. You know, we were taught in the law school to focus on issues. You know, sensationalizing issues does not help. And that is why, for those who are talking about political interpretations and things, I mean, this is a pure process of the law. The charges were clear, and we have laws to back them up. Inciting violence, many have been killed, and these are issues, you know, through his broadcast and everything. So, and I think we should really, really, really learn. In fact, by virtue of the provisions of the law, he was liable to capital punishment, but that was toned down to say life imprisonment. But at this point in time, he has the opportunities of
so many
going
questions
on appeal.
Struggling to come out, but we're out of time for this conversation. So I'll just say thank you very much, Jidolugu, for being here with us. And Joshua, we let you go now. Please go catch your rest. It's been a long day. Thank you for being here. Coming up, News Central hosts town hall series on ending the scourge of gender-based violence in Nigeria. We have that after the break. Stay with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Court sentences leader of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to life imprisonment over terrorism charges. U.S. Congress adjourns public hearing on Nigeria over allegation of Christian genocide and violations of religious freedom. President Trump threatens Democratic lawmakers over call on military to reject any illegal orders they may receive. Now let's tell you about News Central's Town Hall series. One of our flagship programs, A Place at the Table, has highlighted discussions on gender-based violence, convening advocates, policymakers, and key stakeholders to tackle issues around gender-based violence. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report.
News Central Television, through its Town Hall series and flagship program, A Place at the Table, has once again turned the spotlight on conversation.
Daalụ nne maka isonyere anyị n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị tata na Igbo Media. Ọ bụ na ihe anyị na-ewetara gị dị gị mma, gbaa mbọ gbasaa ozi a ma mekwa ka ozi a rute ụmụnna anyị n'ebe dị iche iche aka. Ngwa ka ọ dị.